This reading is fragments from the section of the Anathemata called Mabinog Liturgy, and is concerned with Guinevere at the midnight Christmas Mass. At midnight, 3 nights after the solstice night, the sun in the goat, in the second moon after Calangaive, of the carried lights that are ordinary to her, before her, and the many plug-in lights special to this night about her, the untread sung, the synaxis done, at the beginning of the offering proper, when they light the offertory light that burns solitary on the epistle side, standing within the screen, for she was the wife of the bear of the island, and toward the lighted board, in cloth of grass of Troy and spun Iberian asbestos, and under these ornate wefts the fine abdeblana flax, made worked as bleached as will be her cerecloth of 30-fold, when they shall intone for her pro anima famulae tuae, and under again the defeasible and defected image of him who alone imagined and ornated us, made fast of flesh her favours, braced bright sternal and vertebral, to the graced bones bound. If her guilt unbound, for she was consort of a Regulus, and falling to below her sacral bone, was pale as standing Northumber barleycorn, here held back in the lunula of dolly cothy gold. It was paler than under stalks of barley, held in the sickle's lunula, so that the pale gilt, where it was by nature palest, together with the pale river gold, where it most received the pallid candle sheen, rimmed the crescent whiteness, where it was whitest. And downward from this terminal, down from the wide shoulders, for she was a daughter of the Tyrannoi of Britain, and these are our Carive. Down over the high-laced buskins, these the notitia permitted, to where the supple Andalusian buckskin freighted from Cordoba cased her insteps. For all the transmarine negotiators, prospectors, promoters, company floaters, and mercatories laid it and carried for her, covering all but the lower eyelet rings and the thong tags and other furnishings of polar ivory. Over other than all this, and excepting only these terminal forms, mantling the whole leaning column, which was the live base for these, covering for the most part the handsome, well-shaped Dalmatian tunic of gold stuff interthreaded green, the stitched-on dark laticlaves kermes dipped, that had beneath it the convenient, well-fitting, glossy undergown of shining firestone, that hid all but entirely the long, bleached, well-adjusted, comfortable vest, that sheathed immediately the breathing marble, habiting all and over all, from top to toe almost, ample and enfolding in many various folds, with the many lights playing variously on the folds, her wide lacerna, edged and lined throughout with dappled vares of marten and pale kinds of wildcat it's cold in west chancels. So wholly superperleased of British wildwoods, the chryselephantine column, native the warm blood in the blue veins that vein the hidden marbles, the lifted abacus of native gold, leaned and toward the stone. And on and over the stone the spread broadcloths, and on this threefold linen, the central rectangle of finest linen, and on the spread out part of this linen, the upstanding calyx that the drawn over laundered folds drape white, and before the palled cup the open dish, and on the shallow dish and in the wide bowl of the stemmed cup, the three waiting munera of Ceres from the reserve granaria, of Liber made confluent with the lucid gift our naiads never fail to bring, parthenogenic from the rock, quick by high valleys or meandering slow, and by the wide loamed ways, by sallowed way, sign the whole anatomy of Britain with his valid sign. Out to where the Nereids bring in the shoal gift, also him in sign. No wonder the proud column leaned to such a board, even before the Magian handling and the Apollinian word, that shall make of the waiting creatures in the vessels on the broadcloths over the stone, his body who said, do this for my anamnesis, by whom also this column was. He whose foretype said in the two lands, I am barley. This is the night when the second official, wearing his best Offred jacket, must sing from his Liber Mandatorum, which is the new mandate, the beginning of the Mabinogi of the Maban the Pantocrator, the true and eternal Maponus, and of Rhiannon of the bird-throats, was it? Spouse of the Lord of Faery, Matrona of the calumniations, 7 winters of the horse-block, telling her own Mabinogi of detraction, Modron, our mother, ein Mam Halgar, truly, that we must now call Maer, she that makes the gillies of bride of the febrile fires, gillies of her son, whose spouses we are all, has been naiad signed. But first, careful that his right thumb is touching the letters of the writing, he must make the sign, and down and across, beginning where the imposed pre-clear bright uncial reads, Exite dictum, e Caesare Augusto, just where in a goodish light you can figure out the ghost capitals of indelible eclogari, rectilineal, dressed by the left, like veterani of the second, come again to show us how, from far-side shadowy Acheron, and read, Iam redit Virgo, iam regnat Apollo. And then he must, after he has joined his hands together, relate in a clear high voice from this Aramaean brut of how that from within 6 months from the beginning of the 6th age of the world, our divine Amharada Octavian, ever august, of the blood of the progenitrix, the purifier, turner of hearts, and of Mars Pencower, the old Pantocrator, seated in Curia in his ivory chair with his cushion under him, in the apsed hall of his palace on the Chalian heights that surmount the earth, sent out a decree demanding his heriots, man fees, and entertainment dues from the free treves and the bond treves, of all the cantrevs of the whole universal orbis, and of how the wolf watch in the lower field, for it was winter calends, because of certain marvels, understood where to find the Maban. But when he comes to the end of the heavenly englunion, that the poor men from the villain Trev heard the messenger that brought the amnesty, and with him the bright mailed war band of full complement, sing in Latin, that is to say, at the word voluntatis, however much he would wish to continue proclaiming his wonder tale, he must break off the recitation of this true historia and be silent, for the textus must be taken back to the stone, because the court capelluar, who is offerand on this night, is waiting by the stone to kiss the textus and to say into it quietly this couplet: Per evangelica dicta deleanto nostra delicta.